Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing excellent. Today we're going to be trying for probably the fourth time to tackle a very big project, which is a huge roadblock on getting everything going with swapping this engine into the right-hand drive FC from the burnt FC. Before I go any further, I want to say a couple things. First, I'm sorry it's been so many weeks since we put out a video. Life gets in the way, as you know. I'm sure you can all understand that. And we've been trying on this project multiple times, so much to the point where we've completely scrapped it and started over again. Second thing is, you like my shirt? Click the link in the description below if you want to get one for yourself. We've got them in long sleeve like I have, women's fit, and men's sizes as well. So let's get right into it. So what we're trying to do today is make our own custom V-mount intercooler setup, and we want to mock it up on this car so we can know we've got what we need so that we can have a smooth transition to putting that into the right-hand drive FC. And there's a couple things we want to accomplish with this, and I'll explain them to you now. So if you've got an FC or you're interested in a V-mount, this will be helpful for you. But with the FC, there are kits available, and what those kits do is they remove, you have to cut out the front supports here and here, and then they mount it at this crazy angle, and you have replacement things that you bolt in and weld underneath the vehicle to make it fit. What I want to do is make a V-mount that doesn't require you to do that. So in addition, those kits are pretty expensive, and everyone who gets them says that it's not just fit and ready to go. You have to cut and change a lot and of the parts that come with the kit, and that's just not what we're trying to do. So what I have here is I have a CX Racing V-mount intercooler covered off for safety, and behind it I have a Griffin dual pass radiator, and as you can see, I've got them kind of placed in here where we want them to be, so you can see that they will fit in here. The last piece of the cooling system that is not here is the oil cooler, which usually mounts to the back of these mounts here and sits behind. And our goal here is to flip it and mount it in front, because there is plenty of room here, and keep it in its nice front position close to stock so that we can still get that great cooling for the nice thick FC oil cooler. So where we've been at right now is we've mocked up something here and had Jeff weld this all together. This is made of aluminum, and we realized that wouldn't work because what I was trying to do. So what we were doing is I was using these rubber isolation mounts, which we're still going to use because we need this to be rubber isolated to prevent it from being conductive, and also to prevent the chassis flex from cracking the radiator or the intercooler. But what I was doing was I was putting them here into the chassis and then mounting the supports that we were making on that back here to hold this up. But what I realized is obviously we have pretty tight clearance back there, and we cannot have this flex back and hit the pulleys. And so what ended up happening is, what I realized is that if I push on this with this radiator heavy full of water, it is going to bend back. So I had to go back to the drawing board there, and I realized that we are going to have to hard mount everything to the chassis in multiple points, and then use these vibration isolators on the brackets to the intercooler and the radiator in order to get our isolation that we're looking for. And also, these are nice pieces. They're M6 on each side, easy to work with on the chassis and common bolts and nuts, but they're not going to work for every single piece, and I was trying to make them work for every single piece. So we're going to have to chop these up, use other pieces of rubber to make our isolation mounts. So in the front here, I did get a bracket made to hold the intercooler in place. It's resting on top of the radiator right now, and down here I have little makeshift mounts that are just for place holding, because I actually chopped those mounts off and they're welded back on. They're not exactly where they're going to be, so we will have to finalize those lower mounts for the radiator on the right-hand drive FC. A couple of the things before we get started is We will have to modify this, cut off this filler neck and weld that closed. And then we're going to need to get probably a 90-degree, maybe AN on this side of the radiator for the water pump outlet to go there. And actually, can you hand me that you welded together last night, Jeff? We will be using, this is also a CX Racing swirl pot that's going to go up here, mount there, and this will be the new high point to fill the radiator. So Jeff already got that taken care of. But as I said, we've been working on this for quite a bit of time, and I feel like we're closer to a final solution. So after many iterations, this is kind of my master plan for this next attempt. What I'm thinking is I want to focus first on supporting the radiator very strongly in the position it's in so that it doesn't move back and forward, obviously, but still keeping it rubber isolated. So I'm going to use these mounts in between there, so imagine it's drilled through, and gonna weld a nice section of angle aluminum onto the edge of the radiator here, and those will sit underneath. And then I'm going to run a piece of angle steel complementary to it so that it'll be something like this, where there's a isolation mount sitting in between these two, and then this will be where it's laying on. And then goal from there is to tie in, so that'll go down here and be bolted to the chassis, then tie in a piece right down here to strengthen that position, and then tie the whole thing in up to the front here so we have a nice 3-point connection on each side to keep it strong, and then run a piece along the top here so that the top of this intercooler can bolt into it, so we have it mounted in the bottom, supported, mounted from the top, and I think that should be sufficient to hold it in place. Then after that we'll work on some of those other things I talked about, and we'll make the cooling ducting, but again that'll probably be once it's mounted on the final car, because we have some accessories and other lines that are not present on this bare chassis to work around for that. Okay, you ready to get started, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
It's harder but easier.
Yeah, it is a little easier. It's not as hot.
It doesn't transfer the heat like aluminum does.
Okay.
Aluminum is a weird material.
So this is just roughly trying to figure this out, but we need it to be like that level of parallel. Challenge is that it's, well, I suppose what we could do,
you can always weld the brackets on here at a different angle too.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just thinking. So we could just still have the bracket do what it needs to, but it just sits on there like that.
Yeah, screw it.
Okay.
It's not going to change anything.
You're right. So we'll hold there, and that'll help so that when we do this on the other car, we don't have to cut all that shit apart.
Right.
Okay. So there's a hole right there. Let me see what we have on the other side. Going under. Here and the hole here would actually line up. That we could work off of. Let's see if we can get this M6 to work in there. How do you like our fabrication shop, Jeff?
It's pro.
It's something.
Yep, that's how the pros do it.
we're making it work though. If we can get this done, I'll be very proud. But it's been frustrating doing this so many times. So now we're cutting the uprights.
I got that.
Thank you. To try and start roughing out our little skeleton to hold our radiator in place.
What color are we going to paint this when we're done?
That's a good question.
Purple?
No. Don't want to be too flashy. Probably just going to go black.
Just matte black? Just...
Yep, like engine enamel, probably. Alright, let's cut her. Cut her loose. Alright, so it's the next evening. Out here again. Getting some pretty good progress. So last night Jeff and I worked for quite some time getting the original concept that we talked about framing this in taken care of. And so we were able to find an existing hole in the frame that matches up on both sides and put an M8 riv nut in there to attach this down here. We have a perfect gap that we're looking for here on this side, and then we were able to get these cut off at the right length and run this cross section up here, as you can see. And right down here, what I did is I took one of those rubber vibration mounts, cut it off, drilled through it, and on this side I just have a grommet so that this is isolated. So we got that mounted where we want. We got this angled and set up. Obviously it's clamped in place here. And my next thing is we want to obviously get some more supports to hold this thing up. So from right down here, I want to take a piece and go up to the back of here. Then we're going to take something from here and go straight to the front here, so it's nice and secured on three sides. Do that over here as well. Have to figure out getting up behind this wiring harness, but again, we'll be able to move that where we need to on the other car as well and tie it off to get that taken care of. So we still have, you know, a pretty tight clearance back here, which this board is holding for us. And then back here, I'll probably end up getting different hardware and get just stronger hardware all around. But right now I'm using some M8 bolts I had lying around to bolt that all together. So now I need to measure some more cross member pieces to strengthen it and get that going for those uprights. So pretty successful, I would say, so far. So what I did, if you're wondering, is I just took this ruler here and I put a bolt right there through that hole, and then basically angled it up against the metal I wanted to meet it to and drew an angle, and then transferred that over to the steel angle iron I'm using. So now, as you can see here, it's clamped together, but I've got this nice upright which meets nicely in there and is bolted in. And same thing over here, if you can see. It's kind of dark, hang on. I'm going in over the top now, but you can see I've got it nicely bolted down in there. So now I want to work on the pieces that are going to continue to frame this in and go from here to here. So we have some holes, mounting points that were originally for the radiator, which went this way, and I'm going to have to probably use a smaller one on this side to go from here, and over on that side I'm going to be able to use the large M8 one. So I'm measuring those out right now. And a fun side effect of cutting those angles is that I've made this weapon of war. So if a zombie comes in here or something, or the riots start, I'm ready. Okay, final pieces of the frame are in place. You can see this one here. Now this one here I have to be careful because it does not have a corresponding hole, so I will need to make, and I think I'll go ahead and go with another M8 there. An M8 riv nut right there, so that it matches, but it lines up underneath here with that one. And to get those, we are going to weld on a end cap there and just tap through that, or drill through that. So there we go. And then same thing over here, except this one conveniently does line up with the existing hole there and goes right on there, like just about so. There is still some gap in between here. This one needs to be kind of held in place, and I do need to grind down and just tolerance a little bit all of the connections on this, or all the surfaces. But we'll be able to get some ducting worked up through here and figure that all out. And same thing over here. So I'm much happier with this design. As I mentioned, I tried multiple ones before and wasn't getting much luck, but this one is looking really good. I think it's going to be very strong. I think it's all rubber isolated, and the next step is for Jeff to come out here. He's not here tonight, and tack this up on the car. Then we can weld it all together in place. And then what we're going to do is get our mounts for the radiator made. And so to do that, we're going to take our rubber isolator mounts. We're going to get those connected in here in a couple places, and then we're going to take a piece of aluminum angle, get that welded on complementary to the radiator itself, and then that will hold that beautifully in place, or at least that's what I plan. So anyway, we're gonna have to get after that in another day, but I'm very happy with the progress we're finally making on this. This has been months and months and months in the making. Jeff's dressed up, so we're ready to tack. Tack. So it's just kind of critical because we have to make sure we line it up where we want it. This is gonna fall as soon as I get that. So I need this to be like as close as we can to like these two corners flush.
You can leave that clamp on there.
You can work around it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to tack a little part on the inside just to connect it. We don't have to take the clamps off.
Okay, let me reclamp this then. Okay.
Get a fresh little contacty. These gloves are so bulky, it's actually hard to do these things.
Mm-hmm. Looks like you're working in mittens.
Well, yeah, but you saw how many sparks fly off when you do that? Like,
yeah.
There's a lot. MIG is very, very, very rough.
You're protecting the engine with an old yoga mat here.
Might catch on fire.
My wife told me to throw it away, but I knew better.
All right, you ready?
Yep. Is that it? You think it's tacked?
Yep.
Is it hot?
Yep.
Should I touch that clamp?
Yep.
Cool. All right, next side.
I'm going to tack it one more spot just because I do see it kind of flexing.
Okay.
Alright.
Good?
Yep.
Nice. All right.
Okay, now we can either pull the angle back up, that back support, and tack that, or we can work on this other side, doesn't matter.
Let's just do the other side first. We'll do shape by shape.
Okay.
Okay, let me take this one off.
So yeah, just take that one off.
Ticky-tacky. All right.
Why is that against me? I was like, dude, why did my wallet get so heavy all of a sudden?
Everything's fighting us. Okay, now let's figure out this one. Yeah, and that one just right there. That one's actually flush, but we will need to hold it as well. Yep, beautiful. Sorry, there's a gap on that one.
Missed it. Only got the top piece.
Yeah, I see that.
Yes. All right, 8's the magic number for speed.
Okay, beautiful. So she's tacked together.
Yeah.
All right, so now we can move on to phase 3.
What's phase 3?
I don't know what phase we're on. I just made up a number.
We didn't catch the yoga mat on fire. We're good?
We're good, and it's still useful. So before we pull this out and we weld it together and TIG it all together, Jeff will do that. We need to get basically a measurement of where we're going to be starting to drill the holes in this angle. So I just took and basically approximated our fitment with the rubber mounts, rubber isolation mounts, and we got it positioned onto there. So we've got a mark there. We'll take the same measurement copied on the other side, and then when we bring it back to the vehicle, we'll have our rubber isolation mounts installed in there, and then we can start figuring out what's going to happen here, because this is going to obviously sit a little bit further over and center kind of the radiator and get it all figured out. So yeah, ready to take it out now.
Anywhere.
Nice.
So yeah, just grind up what you want, clean it up, and then when you're ready, we'll completely go through and whatever available welds there are. But right now, it's solid.
Cool. Yeah, so just going to work on cleaning this up, editing it a little bit so that it visually looks a little bit better, and then some final welding. We'll put it back in here again, make sure it still fits up, and then do the final welds on it. Jeff just had to take off for work, but before that he did get this all welded up. So we tested it 2 more times, and I know it looks simple and kind of crude, but this is going to work. This thing is really, really strong. It's got the dimensions we need, and I'm actually going to work on it now for some hours this evening and just try and touch it up, make it look a little bit less industrial, round off some edges here, and yeah, just get it ready, and then we'll throw her on in there. I'm also going to come down here and clearance out this section. This is where the intercooler bolts on, and we do need to make a little bit of an indent just so it doesn't touch the intercooler with this metal bar. So yeah, just gonna grind away. All right, so doesn't look, you know, drastically different, but got the ends rounded off and kind of angle cut, so it's easier to manipulate the hardware in there and maintaining the strength of it. And then I got the little recess cut in here. Looks pretty good. And then yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be painted up so it'll look a little bit more professional. It's still handmade. It's not, you know, made by a computer, but I'm pretty hopeful it's going to work. So now I need to run out, buy some more aluminum angle. We need actually 1.25 inches instead of 1 by 1 inch, so we can actually make those brackets, and we'll get to it. All right, so after some grinding and shaping, here is my almost finished creation. As you can see here, got some nice rounding off just to make it look a little bit more less industrial, I guess. I already got tapped in and rib nutted in the rubber mounts that we're going to be using to hold the radiator. And the last little piece before I'm ready to paint this thing is we need little end cap pieces here, because I need to pass a bolt through there to attach. So these are all attachment points to the vehicle's frame or chassis. So Jeff's getting his welding suit back on. I cut these little guys out of the same stuff, and they fit in here pretty nicely. They actually have an angle edge there, and so they sit right in there, so you should be able to get nice good contact, and then I can drill those out to accommodate an M8 bolt. that's basically those two pieces of metal are the same piece now?
Yes, very much so.
That's cool. And there she is. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Now when she's cool enough, I'm going to take her and get her painted. All right. And here she is. We put her in the sun so you can see a little better. All painted up. Looks pretty good. I mean, I am saying so myself when we made it, but looks pretty solid. So I'm going to go ahead, slap her in. I did get some new hardware as well. So I got these nice hardened flat Allen head ones. So these are nice because obviously see if I can get some more sun on them. We're putting it in a non-stock location and clearances are pretty tight. So this flat surface is going to make it a little bit easier to have it be lower profile, so we don't have anything interrupting the fitment. And then this nice tapered design on these makes it really nice because I made the holes just a little bit bigger than the M8 bolts, so that'll help it like get a kind of a compression and kind of center itself with that nice taper. So I'm going to throw this in and then we'll get the final piece for this video, which is the brackets on the radiator to hold everything in place. It is hours later. So we had made some edits to this thing with it outside of the car. So I had to clearance back here on this upright and also change the bolt hole at the bottom, so it's a little mangled, but you know, again, this is prototype, proof of concept. And then in the front here, I had put the threaded piece into the sheet metal here and it was just impossible, and I realized, okay, no, you pass the bolt through the front, where is it, here, and you put the riv nut in here, and now these are tightened down. I need to use maybe a slightly shorter bolt because you can see it's hitting there, but we've got it in place to do the test fitment. And the brackets, check over here. Yeah, this one has a spacer, so that one's fine. But yeah, and also learning about the riv nuts I'm putting into the frame. So for this positioning, it's working, but some of them are spinning, so I'm sure they're not grabbing as much, or maybe they're not heavy duty enough for this. So when we do it on the other car, we may just actually tap those holes because it's nice thick frame metal, so we can just drill out the right diameter, tap it, and it'll be nice. So anyway, let's keep moving through this. I'm going to go ahead and get some aluminum cut here. I have 1.25 and 1.5 just in case, because we need to bridge the gap here to here. So it's going to weld onto the radiator here and go in there. So I've had many frustrating moments through this whole process, as you've heard me talk about, and I was getting pretty frustrated today. But we are very, very close. So down here, I've got this piece pretty much mounted up and flush, looking good. And this one, I just have a very small gap here. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do there. And I think the answer is, with my little mounts that I have on the bottom, I need to get this a little more tilted over. Of course, that'll affect that. But what I think I want to do is get these marked up pretty good and then just cut the bolt holes all the way out to the edge so it has some adjustability when we put it in there. And then I think we're going to be there. And I'll get the pieces actually trimmed up to length a little bit and get Jeff hopefully to weld it together. All right, I am finally excited. We got it in there. We got those. They're cut out on the side so it's up nice and flush. I've got it mounted really firmly against there so I can mark this, because again, we cannot have this move backwards. All four mounted there. So now I'm just going to boom, boom, boom. That side's marked. There we go. Now that those are marked, Jeff can get them welded on. Then take it all out, weld it together, put it back in, and we'll give you a final look at it to end the video. I know it's a long one. I know it's been a long time since you've seen a different one, but this is why. This has taken weeks and weeks of work. And as you know, we do this in our spare time. We're both working full time and taking care of a whole life. So anyway, we'll be right back. All right, so this is a big moment. All this work we've been doing is basically to get this radiator to sit where we need it to. I finished making up the brackets with 1/8 inch aluminum angle earlier, and Jeff is now here trying to balance this thing, but he tacked the brackets in place.
Yeah, I've already tacked it in 3 places on each side on the back. And I'm going to pull this out a little bit more so I have a little bit more room to scoot it back. The one key thing about this, obviously, is anybody who welds knows all about heat input. One thing when we were test running the mounting bracket for everything, because it's been so long since I've done this, I totally mismanaged my heat on one part and like melted that little corner thing. So I just need to remember, like, read the puddle. If the puddle seems like it's gonna blow out, immediately stop, let it cool down and continue. So that's just the key thing here, is just sorry, getting a little bit out of my comfort zone, but you can see right along there.
Ooh, that looks great.
All right, so it's still within temperature, so I can continue. Just need to readjust myself. 90% of welding is always being comfortable. Don't forget that.
That's beautiful. That looks better than the welds over here.
Kinda.
I mean, they have bigger ones.
Yeah. This was machined though. All this. But
that looks great. Cool.
Yep. So we'll let this side cool down. Do the other side, and then we'll come back and hit this right here, and then. Yeah, just keep on rotating. Rotate the heat.
Boom. So I almost had to stop him from welding because he was going to weld everything, because I thought he was just going to do a pass along the top or something. All the corners, every single seam is connected. It's strong as hell.
Yeah, she ain't breaking.
Nice. So I want to slap her on, but we need to let her cool down for a few minutes.
Yeah, it's a radiator. He'll radiate itself really quickly.
Oh yeah, that's true. Cool. Oh my god, I'm excited to finally throw this in and finish up this project. We were working on this for over 2 weeks. Whew.
Oh, thank God, too. We finished just in time.
Almost out of gas.
Yeah, dude, we're like running on fumes now.
Perfect timing. Alright, so now for the first time what we're going to try and do is remove this crazy contraption of the wood that's supposed to separate the radiator from the pulleys. Yep. And we're going to place the radiator now. Oh, this is kind of tricky.
Might need to go underneath.
Mm-hmm. It's already tricky before those are welded on, so.
Have to slide. Yep, there we go.
What am I stuck on here?
Oh, that cap is hitting the top.
These brackets, I don't need them anymore. They were just placeholders, so let's see if I can. Oh, it's a tight fit. Oh, there's one side.
Oh. I think it needs to go
Yep.
that way. If it's possible.
It will be.
Oh, snap.
What?
No, keep going. These are really close.
Yeah, it's over here. Here, put one hand down here and hold that in place. Okay.
Ooh. My welds. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. That look great. Figure out why. It's stuck all over. Oh, I see.
What do we?
One of my openings for my little rubber mount is not quite wide enough.
Oh.
It's okay. And this one is underneath. Okay. So all but one of them are in there.
Okay, so this side.
One, two, three, four. I just need to get these ones to go in again.
Oh yeah, that one's not wide enough right there, huh? Oh, it might be towards the center.
Yeah.
Yep, there it was.
It's mainly this one down here. And then you go. And then you go. Boom. Looky there. So obviously I put nuts on the front of that, but we've got clearance here.
This side came undone on the top right here.
Yeah. Careful with your finger. There we go. And look, that ain't gonna go back at all, but it is still
moving.
Isolated.
Yeah, it's rubber isolated. You can see it moving, but it's
In no way.
it's contained isolation.
Okay, so we're gonna need two full sets of hands to put the intercooler on, but we'll go ahead and do that. We'll take the cardboard off just for final shots and for the thumbnail.
So
It's a lot of work, but seeing it like that makes it worth it. Check that out. Heck yeah. So we're gonna leave it right here for now. If you've watched all the way to the end, thank you very much, because I'm sure when I edit this one, it's gonna be a long one. But we're gonna be doing a lot more work on this on the other FC, so we're gonna put cowling in here to direct it. We've got to make some custom modifications to the radiator itself as well, to make sure it'll work. We got to get the other piece up here,
the AST.
plumbed in, bing bang boom.
And also, while this motor is pulled, we will, you know, clean it up again because, you know, it still has fire or flame retardant.
Talk about that yet.
But
we're talking about the V mount.
yes, but to make it all pretty so it matches.
Yeah. All right. Again, thank you guys for watching. I always appreciate it. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay kind to each other out there. And when they ask you, tell them you want more.